Welcome to All Things Mental,
a podcast that honors the messy, beautiful, nonlinear journey of healing. Because healing isn't about fixing what's broken.
It's about discovering what you need in this moment and learning to trust yourself along the way.
Here, we share stories, resources, and reminders that you're never alone on your path.
So take a breath, lean in, and remember,
you are not broken.
You're just becoming a more beautiful version of your higher self. We're your co-hosts, Michelle
and Leanna,
here to remind you that
you're never alone
on your healing journey. Hello and welcome back to All Things Mental. This week we are going to be discussing all things self-development. So essentially, self-development can mean different things for different people, but essentially what it is it's you watching a video, listening to a podcast, or reading a book, or being inspired by something that happened in a TV show or a video game, and it heals you in a way that helps you become or head towards your higher self, if that makes any sense. Do you have anything to add, Leanna?
Yes. Oh, I love that description because it's true. It's literally like this amazing journey that we go on where we sense an issue or something we want to change in our life, and we seek to change it or just to further pursue another avenue of growth. Like nothing has to be wrong necessarily to go into self-development, but I know for me in my journey, something was very wrong, and I quickly found tools and techniques to figure out the way through.
Absolutely. That's such a beautiful way to say it, because I remember when I first was introduced to self-development, it was Chelsea that we had on early on in our podcast. Not that our podcast is like older, but you know what I mean. But anyways, she was doing this program that is no longer one of her programs anymore, but it was even like a program, like a monthly like subscription kind of thing. But anyways, she asked me to kind of like be her guinea pig for her. I was like, hey, can I send you like a self-development video a day for like a week, and then you and I can hop on a live on Instagram and you can tell everybody what you thought about it? I'm like, sure. I don't got anything else to lose. So she sent them to me, whether they were articles or videos or podcasts, and I listened to it for the day, and it was like no more than like 10 or 15 minutes long. And that's what kind of like introduced me to it. And I remember saying that it was life-changing, and I don't say that lightly. So that's how I got introduced to it. The first podcast I ever listened to was Mary's Cup of Tea. I think I listened to an episode on, I think it was episode 24, finding self-worth in a relationship, because I had just recently moved in with my partner, and it was very early on still in my healing journey, and I just felt like I needed something. So I just kind of like Googled, and Mary popped up. And I think that's honestly how I found her. I think I found her through her podcast first or her Instagram first. I don't really know. All I know is that self-development is very impactful and powerful. And if you're listening to this episode and you feel like you need it, basically what we're going to do on this episode is we're going to discuss our journey with it, as well as like what we have read, what we have used, and we'll put a whole bunch of information in the show notes for you. That way you guys have easy access to it all.
Yes. I love that. Your journey is so inspiring, and we live in parallel worlds, finding Mary, and that's how we found each other ultimately. And it's so great because I think back to the start of my healing journey. It was really post-college when I had the traumatic incident with my parents and everything, and went through that and just had my whole world turn upside down. And I was already kind of listening to some podcasts, like I think I had been listening to comedy podcasts and things like that, and like just something to pass the time, but not really to learn much. until
For
I think I find,
entertainment purposes at first, and then it turned into, yeah, no, I get that. I do. Because like for me, there's a podcast that I listen to that is not for self-development at all. I think it's called Dark History, and literally it's about this girl that talks about different times in history and talks about like what actually and what really happened. And I'm a history nerd, so I love listening to that particular podcast.
that's awesome. Yeah, I think there's a time and a place for different areas of media, and we've talked about the media on different episodes that we've in gone through at this point, and even our all things, yeah, it was media and how they helped us in our journey, and the things that we really love to do, like our hobbies and things like that. And I'm all for that, as I know, as you know, because I believe it's an essential part of living a life worth living. And if I didn't go on to that healing journey and needing something more, then I don't know where I'd be today. Because truly, like I remember finding something, I think it was called the Elephant Journal on Facebook, like as a old post from 2017 type of thing. And I don't even have Facebook anymore, but like back then it was just one of those things that I found something and they recommended a podcast, and like I listened to that, and or I wanted to see if they had a podcast, I think. And then I found something called the Positive Head podcast, and then that pivoted into this other podcast that I would listen to, and that was more driven into self-development. And I just became hooked on this idea of like healing your anxiety and your depression and everything, like working on yourself and like really gaining emotional intelligence, which I feel like I've always had to an extent, like just being empathetic and loving and caring in the world and sensitive to others and myself and how I feel. But really digging deep into those core fundamental like foundations was really life-changing for me in the start. And that's where I began the self-development, and I started buying books. Like my husband got me this when we weren't married yet, but he got me this book called The Power of Now. And that was really amazing, just to say like I'm going to be more present in the day-to-day and like learning. I don't even really remember the book, but I just remember him like writing a sweet little message in the cover for me, and it was just so nice. And slight tangent related to that, there was this amazing post that I saw on Her 30s Instagram, and it was about, and I sent it to you, Michelle, so I'll tell our listeners. It was this sweet post about how like your partner, or it was about your partnership, right? But like it was a couple that had been together for like 65 years, and it was like, what's the secret, like what do you do?
Oh yeah. You sent that to me, and I like absolutely loved it. I wound up actually, I sent it to my husband and was like, "This is so cute, and this is like us to a T. We do this." And
Yeah,
like, yeah.
it's, and in essence it's about like the takeaway for me, like which made me tear up when I was reading it, was just the fact that like the guy, the husband in that example was saying that, you know, I it's not about loving your wife as she is and expecting her to be the same way all the 60 years. It's loving her through her changes in womanhood, in motherhood, in growing older, and like needing different phases of life. Like, and that to me was so healing in its own right, because I was like, oh my gosh, like that's what we have to look forward to in our 65 plus years together, you know. And I even in the last 11 I've looked at it as like, wow, like we really have done that, like loving each other like through the changes of life, and not, and falling in love again and again and again, like redoing it. And I think in that's own way, that's been helping my self-development, because like I can, like in him loving, and I've said this before, like even the cats, like their unconditional love of me has helped me learn to love myself.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And like honestly, that can go beyond just like a partnership between a man and wife, or between two wives, or between two husbands. It can go to between like friends. Like I have grown a lot over the years, and my best friends have loved me through every step of it. Like, I will never forget, one of my best friends said to me, "You are becoming the person I always knew you could become." And this was like early on in my healing journey. Like, I wouldn't say like super early on, but I think it was during the pandemic, because I was in Maine and we were on the dock just having one of our heart to hearts. And we actually have a tattoo where it's literally the dock, like the old dock in Maine that my parents have at their cabin. Like, my best friend drew it, and we got it a couple of years ago. I have it on my rib cage, and she has it on her leg. But like, it's so special for us, and we have yet to be up there together in so long. We want to get a picture of us on the new dock with our tattoos. But nevertheless, like, you can grow with your family and with your friends as well, not just with your partner. But like, I agree with you 100%. Like, last night, me and my husband were just goofing off. Like, I was like, let's play a game. And we played this like really, really fun game. And once it was over, like, I was laughing. I said to him, I love how much we've been laughing lately. And it just feels like we're back in the honeymoon phase. And he, without skipping a beat, he goes, "Babe, we like never left the honeymoon phase. That's like the beauty of our love." I was like, "Oh my God, I love you so much. That was so cute." And yeah, but I mean, self-development can come in many different shapes and forms. Like, as you were talking about your story of how it came to you, I had the realization that I don't even think it was Chelsea that introduced me to it. Chelsea introduced me to videos and podcasts. I think the first ever person that introduced me to self-development was my therapist that I stuck with, that diagnosed me with PTSD and anxiety and all of that. And like, she taught me how to do meditation. She taught me how to like journal, not necessarily how to journal. She's like, "You need to journal." And I didn't like it. Like, I forced myself to do it. Chelsea's the one that made me fall in love with journaling. But like, at the end of the day, it's what works for you. Like, we were talking about this before we hit record. But around Christmas, I think, you sent me the book, The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse. And it was such a cute story. And I think you got it for Christmas from your in-laws. And you were like, "Michelle, you would love this book." So you just ordered it for me, which was so sweet. And it's a pretty, not even a thick book. I wouldn't call it thick, but like, it's a children's book. And even though it is a fictional story, it's so impactful. And even if you just pick it up at your local library and read it really quickly, I think it's worth the read, because it's just so beautiful and so impactful. And like, there's artwork throughout it, and it's just a really cute story. Like, I think honestly, for me, if we want to go like way back and think deeper, I think one of my first versions of self-development was Disney movies, because every Disney movie really has a lesson in it. And like, you can learn a lot from those. You can also learn what not to do from a Disney movie, but you know what I mean.
Right. Yeah, no, I love that. And that story was really special to read over the holidays, because like, it in essence, without spoiling it for those who want to check it out, it talks about how like, you just find your enoughness and your worth. And I think it's just so nice. And I would love to reread it again before, I don't know, maybe it could be my annual holiday read, or before the end of the year type of thing, to just go back to it and just have it, because I have an extra copy that I want to give to someone. And I have to figure out who I want to give it to, but I did get an extra copy because I was just like, I wanted you to have it, and also someone else. But it's really nice. And that's among the more recent books I've read. I remember one of the first books that I didn't realize was a self-development book until later. It was my summer reading book before my senior year of high school. So for me, that was, yes, The Alchemist.
Yeah.
Yes. And it's so powerful in the quotes that I love, like the universe, if you want something, the universe conspires to help you achieve it. Like I put that on my graduation cap in college. Like I've come back to that book multiple times, and it's a beautiful story about like exactly that, like the power of the universe and just, going forward in life. And
Absolutely.
mhm.
Absolutely. In 2022, me and my husband both got diagnosed with COVID. He got it first, and this was back when like you still had to quarantine if you who you lived with had it. So I remember being out of work for 2 weeks, and we separated each other out. I took the bedroom, he took the living room because he had already been on there. We weren't going to clean everything so that way he could have the bedroom. But quick little side story for really you and really for our listeners, since he's been on the podcast before, how this man told me he did not, he had COVID was he got on the bed and he says to me, well, I'm not pregnant. And I was just like, it's like 2 a.m. I'm like waiting to like let people know, hey, I can't come in. My husband has COVID. And it clicks in my brain. And I'm like, that means you have COVID. And I like shoved him off the bed. And I was like, get with your man. I'm sick. So we like kept our distance and all of that. And then I took a test on January 9th. I remember this because January 9th is my mother's birthday. And I remember calling her after going, happy birthday, Mom. And she's like, so do you have COVID? And I was like, yeah, happy birthday. But like, the reason for that little tangent was because I discovered Sarah Prout during that time, and she had a 30-day manifesting challenge that I joined. She also, I don't know if she still has it, but I'll put it in the show notes if she does. She has a manifesting academy where it has like videos on how to manifest this, how to manifest that, and what to do. And she also has a whole bunch of like meditations. So like it's really, really interesting. But like I bought her book. Like we didn't have to, but like when you bought the manifesting thing, she like offered it like a major discount so you could have it. And I was like, sure, why not? So it's called Dear Universe. I talked about this before. And essentially how the book works is there's 100 positive emotions and 100 negative emotions. And you're supposed to look up what your negative emotion is in that moment. It's got like a little like example from her life, and then it has like the Dear Universe kind of like little prayer meditation at the bottom, and then it's got 3 positive emotions, and you pick which one you want to feel, and then you flip to that page and you do it, which is how like the book is supposed to be used. But I have used it before where I've woken up and like I'm in a grateful mood, and I would just like read the gratitude part of it, because you don't want to force your brain to feel a negative emotion when you're not feeling a negative emotion, because that's not good for anybody. And I used to do that, but then I was like, you know what? I can make my own rules. Sarah Prout's not gonna like get mad at me for like using her book the wrong way. But she also has another book called Be the Love. I haven't finished it, but it's got a whole bunch of like prompts and all of that within it as well. And then obviously both of Mary's books are really good as well. I have yet to finish the second one, but the second one, as we mentioned before, is like 100 prompts, and you just do them when you feel led to do them. It's 100 days, but like you don't have to do it 100 days in a row.
Yeah, no, I love all that, because I just love learning. Like I said, I've collected so many books. I've literally we had to get a second bookshelf because there was just too many books. And I have them all, and I have to just start chipping away at them. I don't know what's holding me back from that. I think because the phone is so distracting, and wanting to scroll or wanting to do whatever. Even though I've been scrolling way less in my life in the recent year, but like prior to that, like, I don't know, I think it's just the addiction of that. But I'll try to, like, I have a book on my nightstand for literally months, this whole year, I think so far. It's called Ikigai, and it's about this Japanese concept of like different areas of your life, like finding your purpose. And it really helps when you're like feeling purposeless, because then you can come to that concept and find like you know, it has to do with your job and your what you can make, what you can be like, what you're good at, what you can be paid for, and what you can do to help the greater good. And like in the center of where all that meets is the ikigai, and it's really cool. um I wonder, I also wonder, like, in terms of reading books, like, if sometimes I don't like it, then I maybe that, like, I think it's hard for me to start something new. And I don't know if that's just like the
It's
ADHD
not
thing.
just you. I think it's a trauma response kind of thing. Like for
Oh.
me, I love Gilmore Girls. I will watch that show over and over and over again. Another one that I'll watch over and over and over again. And some people find that a little bit odd, except for those who are fans of the show, Supernatural. Because like Supernatural was there for me at a time when I was fighting demons in my head. And I said this before, but like, okay, if Sam and Dean can fight a literal demon that's in front of them, I can fight a demon that's in my head. And that was like my push to watch the show. So like I believe it's like it's a trauma response. That's what I've heard. That like rewatching things that you know what's going to happen is it, your brain feels safe. But as far as like reading books and all of that, I'm with you. I there's this series, I don't remember the name of the series, but it's basically like, as we all know, I love Disney. And as we're recording this, this is premiering after we have met, even though we have yet to meet face to face. It's happening soon, y'all. Anyways, but like it's a series where it kind of like changes the narrative of the story. Like for instance, I read one, I don't remember the name of it, but it was like, what if Wendy went to Neverland with Captain Hook instead of Peter Pan? Like, what if Captain Hook took her? And there's another one, what if Rapunzel's hair didn't heal? It hurt people instead of healing them. And like it's just like this concept of like just changing one tiny little detail that changes the whole entire story. And I love stuff like that. Like the Marvel universe does that a lot with like the What If series. And I've always found those types of books intriguing, but I have a lot of books on my nightstand as well that I like don't touch. I'm a huge fan of audiobooks. I prefer audiobooks. There is this service, I think it's like $100 a year, where literally all you have to do is take a picture of the physical book that you have. And then you can have it be Morgan Freeman. It's AI Morgan Freeman, but it's Morgan Freeman, and he will read the book to you. And like I am at the point now in my life where I prefer audiobooks, even for self-development books. But for me, when it comes to self-development books, I would still want a physical copy so I could be like a kid in school following along. But like I also like the idea of when I'm doing self-development to like be able to highlight or be able to do this or be able to do that. And I know some people are like, oh my God, you did that to a book? Yes, I own the book. It's my copy. And most of my self-development books, the most I'm going to do is lend it out to a friend. I'm not going to like try to like sell it. I would never be that person that tries to sell a book that I like wrote notes in the margins as Jess did in Gilmore Girls.
Aw, that's sweet though. I mean, I think you're right, because the most recent book that I've consumed, I guess, is How to ADHD by the Instagram account. And I don't know if she has TikTok. I only found her through Instagram from a post I think you had sent me, How to ADHD. And I found her book.
Yeah, you sent me the book. I have yet to read it yet. And the main reason is because it's really, really thick. I want to read it, but I also think I'm going to want to like get the audio book and like read and follow along like I'm a kid in school.
I think that's a really good idea though, in terms of like maybe ingesting these books for myself, like is to find, because a lot of the time they're on Spotify Premium and I just like find them that way, because that's how I listened to How to ADHD. And I was like, wow, this is so interesting. Like I'm listening to it like while I'm doing things or like in the car, and like within a week I already processed it all, and I was like, wow, this is so cool.
Oh yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
it's just, yeah, it's like another tool, right?
And like
in
a
terms
lot of
getting-
people say that like, oh, if you read an audiobook, you're not really reading. Like, I'm sorry, you're still consuming the same media. It's just it's being read to you instead of you reading it. To each their own.
Yeah.
Whatever works for you. There's a book that I want to finish that I do want to just physically read it. I bought it when I was on my way up to Maine a couple summers ago. My parents needed me to watch their cabin. They just needed someone to watch the cabin. I was like, I'll do it alone for like a month. And all I have to deal with is Eli. Sign me up. So I did that for them. And on our way up, we stopped and visited my friend that lives in Virginia, who was here recently for my husband's birthday. And we stopped at this little bookstore that I think he had taken me to while I was there. And I was like, oh my God, my best friend would love this. And she flew down, drove up with me. And then I did like the last little bit up to Maine from her house because she lives in New Jersey. But like, it's called Love Letters to the Dead. And it's about this girl who recently lost her sister. And she has to write for school, she's got to write a love letter to someone who has passed away. So she's writing love letters to like everybody but her sister. But like through these love letters, she's telling them about what's going on in her life and this and that. And she's supposed to hand this in for a grade, but it gets too personal and she doesn't want to share that with her teacher. So she accepts the F because she doesn't want to like hand it in to her teacher.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, that's real. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So it's the kind of book where even though it is fiction, it's kind of heavy and you got to take it by steps.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Amazing though. Another one of the first books that I've read in my self-development journey was Attached, in terms of the attachment theory, whether you're secure or disengaged or something. I forget what the one is. Or no, it's disorganized, and then anxious and avoidant. So those are the 4 attachment styles, and there's like a quiz in there and stuff. And I learned back then that I had secure attachment, and I thought that was really great because I was like, okay, then I can. That shows that I expect in my relationships to have love in return. But like through the years, like when I had some issues with my parents and stuff, I learned that I did develop some anxious attachment, and sometimes I still am like, oh, you said something like, or you didn't text me back, like, are you mad at me? Like I sometimes still have that voice in my head, but I know that that's me and not him, because he's never given me a reason to feel that way, which is a blessing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I've done the same exact thing with my husband, where like if he didn't text me back right away when we first started dating, I'd be like, okay, well, you can't text him. So like you're just gonna hopefully like he'll text you back and he's still in your life. Like those were the thoughts that like went through my head. But I mean, I think those are normal thoughts to have. Especially if you come from a background where you were in not so great situations, or for me, my situationship, and things like that, because yeah.
And I know the book we've talked about before, but I have it also pulled up, which are the 4 Agreements.
Yeah, I wanted to mention that earlier when you mentioned The Alchemist, because I thought originally that it was by the same author, but it turns out it is not by the same author. But I absolutely love that book. I live by those 4 agreements, even though I have my moments where I'm like, okay, it's never assume, use your words wisely or something like that. I don't know the exact wordage. And then it's there. See, I'm blanking on the other 2.
But
okay. I know one of them is like giving yourself
I'll help you out.
Thank you.
Be impeccable with your word. Yes. Don't take anything personally. Don't make assumptions, and always do your best.
See, the don't take anything personally one is the one that I forget, because probably I still have my moments where I take things personally. But like, I mean, I think the most beautiful part about that whole entire book is the last agreement, where it's like essentially giving yourself grace, which we've talked about on our All Things Grace episode, and what we've talked about on previous episodes, and we'll continue to talk about, that you just need to remember that you're a human, and self-development is just there to help kind of like guide you. Like one of the books that I have yet to read, Chelsea suggested it to me like forever ago. It's called The Untethered Soul. And
I have
it's
that.
about the journey beyond yourself. That's essentially the full title of the book. And it walks you through your relationship with your thoughts and emotions, helping you uncover the source and fluctuations of your inner energy. It then delves into what you can do to free yourself from the habitual thoughts, emotions, and energy patterns that limit your consciousness. Finally, with perfect clarity, this book opens the door to a life lived in the freedom of your innermost being. That like goes hand in hand, I feel, with what we say all the time on this podcast: live a life worth living.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I think I did read that book finally over like 2 years. And
I've had it for a while. I bought it
finished
because it was on sale, and I was like, I'll read it eventually. But I have it like on my altar in my room, and I just have it like on a shelf of like, I want to read this someday.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. And I think the idea of just having an audiobook is totally valid, because then I can probably sit and have somebody talk to me, but also like be physically reading it. And that might help me get started into reading, because like
That's how I got back into reading. That's how I read the Harry Potter series. What got me back into reading so like, you know how when you're in school, when you're a kid, you love reading, or maybe you don't, but then like you have like you have to read these books kind of thing, and then you kind of like fall off the bandwagon of like wanting to read. Twilight got me back into reading. When the first movie came out, my friends took me to go see it. I was in college. My friends took me to go see it, and I loved it. And then I automatically was hooked. I read Twilight, I read New Moon. Like I remember being in a ice storm in Kentucky, because I went to school in Kentucky for a little bit, and being at this friend's house whose dad came and picked us all up so that way we didn't have to stay on campus. And we all just literally, like, there's literally a photo that her father took of all of us just sitting there, and we were all reading Eclipse, every single one of us. Yeah. So that's what got me back into reading. But like, I love reading. I love audiobooks. I'm currently reading the Mortal Instruments series. I'm on book 5. I think it's called The City of Lost Souls. And my goal this year is to read 15 books. I was like, okay, that's one a month. And then in the summer, I could probably read more because I'm on summer break. But we'll see. If I don't hit it, I think I'll at least hit 12, and then I can go from there. But I saw this thing on Instagram or TikTok a couple weeks ago where it was this girl who reads audiobooks, and it was like an audio that she used, and it was like basically like, oh, you mean my trophies for my audiobooks. I'm like, oh my God, I love that. So once I'm done reading the whole entire Mortal Instruments series, I want to buy the whole series and be like, look, this is my trophy for finishing the series. But like, I too like have like a bookshelf, I'm literally looking at it right now, filled with books that like I've read or I haven't read that are my husband's or whatever. And I do eventually want a like room that can be dedicated to being a library. That would be like so beautiful. Like I remember saying to my husband the other day, we were watching Beauty and the Beast, and I was like, babe, I want that, like pointing to the library, like, why can't I have that? And he goes, here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna go back in time, okay, and I'm gonna become a prince, okay, and then I'm gonna become a spoiled little that gets turned into a beast, and then you will be Beauty that comes and gets me out of it. And I was just like, okay, I like this plan, like just like going along with it, but like in a joking manner. But like we have a 3-bedroom house, and it's not like super big, but I would like to eventually have a room dedicated to books. And I never thought I would be this person ever.
Wow.
Yeah, like I love reading. I used to not like it. Like both of my best friends read all the time, like all the time.
Mm. Yeah, I have a friend that reads through her Kindle and consumes like, or is on like a at this point, probably over a 600-day streak of just reading every day. I'm like, that is so brilliant. Like, but I'm gonna test out your idea and just try to finish this Ikigai book and then see if I can find it on audio and then just listen to it that way, because then I'll be able to like enjoy it better. And because I have like a little cute reading light that like clips to my
Yeah,
book
of
and it turns
course.
amber and it's so nice.
Yeah, no, exactly. And like for me, like I used to do self-development in the morning. Like when I first woke up, it was part of my morning routine. I would read for 10 minutes, or like in the evening I would read. But then I got to the point where it felt like it was a chore. And I still do self-development, but I have to be like inspired. Oh my God, I want to read this, or oh my God, I want to read that. Because self-development for me has even become like reading more into spirituality, or reading more into ADHD, or just being intrigued by a certain subject. Like I have a tattoo that I got a couple years ago. I have it here on my arm, and it's a sunflower, and the leaves are never stop, and then the stem is growing. So it says never stop growing. And just a reminder to myself that not to like always keep growing, like you can't stay still, because as we talked about on our previous episode, like you need to embrace who you are in the moment and love who you are in the moment and respect who you are in the moment, because at the end of the day, if you're not going to take time to get to know this new version of yourself, what was the point?
That is so good. That's so true. I love that, because like it's amazing to, I think, like why I've collected so many books is because I'm in this space of like self-improvement, self-development, like self-discovery, self-worth, all the things. But like I've now taken the past year at least to just, or two, to integrate all of the learnings from the audio versions of things, from the videos I've watched, from the social media I've consumed, like all the things, like, and now I've been in this integration stage, and maybe that means that I can read these books and consume more media. I found things on Substack, like I've been really enjoying some articles there, like just getting into it and not feeling so much pressure to, oh, now I have to do something.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because like it's also a matter of perspective. Like I bought Untethered Soul, and I'm kind of feeling like I want to start reading it, but I think it might just because we're talking about it on the podcast. But like at the end of the day, like I said this to you before we started recording, where you're like, we should probably start recording. But like it's basically just like there's times where, like, my husband has said this to me before, like you hear something, but you don't actually hear it till you're ready to hear it, till you're ready to consume it. And I think that that's powerful and so true. Like for me, like I want to dive into the course that I purchased through my friend who's going to be on eventually, to discuss two separate topics. And like I want to dive into that, but like I have like the last, like, I guess year or two, maybe longer, I'd have to ask my husband and be like, hey, when did we have that conversation? Where like I just kind of like I'm embracing who I am right now, and I'm loving it. But I also feel like it's time, because like I mentioned before, I do want to have children, and I'm not saying that things won't come up when I have kids, of like, hey, we have to work on this, or hey, we have to work on that. But I no longer look at it as like a tool and as something I have to do. I look at it as something I get to do. I think I've mentioned this before, of changing your words to, ugh, I have to do that. But no, you get to get out of bed. You get to go to work. You get to go for a walk. You get to pet and hang out with your cat.
Yeah, that's so important. And it reflects this other point that I thought of like life isn't happening to us, it's happening for us. It's that same concept of like just reframing a little bit of language. And I love that. I've been catching myself lately saying like, oh, want to go do this, to anybody. Instead of being like, if the intention behind what I'm saying is that I want to do something, but can you do this? Right? It's not, would you please do this? Or no, it's not, do you want to get ice cream? It's, can we go get ice cream?
Yeah.
Like it's that subtle shift of like, And then also not saying just, like, oh, I'm just writing in to ask you about this in a text message or something. And like actually just saying it more direct. Like I'm trying, and also I've kind of not said, I don't say sorry as much, which is good.
Which is
So
huge.
that's like the first layer. And then the next layer is like this could, want, should, can you?
Yes.
And then the under layer of that is the just, so that's like what I'm working on recently.
You just reminded me of an article, and if I can find it, I will put it in the notes. But Sarah Prout wrote it. It's like 10 words to stop saying, and like should is one of them. Apologizing for things that you don't need to apologize for. I talked about this before, that my husband and his best friend got me out of that habit by asking me, well, why are you sorry? Until like I like, well, what do you mean? I'm just sorry. Like, you can't just be sorry for the sake of being sorry. I'm like, yes, you can. Like, I remember like going back and forth, like bickering like siblings at first when they were helping me with this. And what's really beautiful about it wasn't even my husband that mentioned it. His best friend mentioned it around the two of us. And then my husband was like, yeah, you do say sorry a lot. What's that about? And they both like kind of like did this and just like looked at me for like a reason. I was like, I don't know, I just do. And they're like, and they're like, it's, and then they didn't know, but like we figured out that it had to do with like the fact that, my past.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I think like starting something new, the trauma response thing, I'm gonna have to dig into what that could be for me, like what you were saying, in just like word vomiting right now, just thinking like it could just be the fact that like whenever I started something new, and if I wasn't exceptional at it from the start, then there was this like pressure of perfection.
Yes. We talked about this a couple of times before.
That makes so much sense.
No, it absolutely does.
I don't have to be perfect. Like,
no,
we don't have to be perfect, but like
I got to word it so beautifully that we are thriving to be perfectly imperfect. And I'm like, oh my God, I love that.
Wow. That's so
much. I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay. It's actually really great because it makes me think about how far we've come in our own journeys, in our own self-development. Like I definitely practice those 4 agreements. Like I really take very few things personal these days. Like even at work and stuff, where like in the past I would be like, oh, was that about me? Did I do something? Like, oh my God, the job security, like whatever, like just blaming myself. And like now I'm like, no, like I'm here for a reason. People need me, and it's a good thing. And I'm just happy about that because it's a good, it feels so much better than in past times. And like when things are just so divinely fit, it just makes sense.
I love that, when things are so divinely fit. I love that so much. But you had mentioned like that you feel like you're not like, taking things personally. And now that I think about it, after you said what you said, it's true too. I have so much more confidence at work. Like it's insane. Like I love it. I know I'm good at what I do. And like my bosses know that I'm good at what I do. And it's just kind of nice to like be rewarded.
It is. Yeah, we do need a little bit of validation, like that's been something that I've learned in my life, that I've constantly sought validation. But now that I've decided to not be on social media and, focus more on myself and my own life. And I even had a passion project that I was re-listening to one of our more recent episodes in real time of, where I talked about my Mahjong side project. And I was like, and then I've recently decided to stop doing that. Like I only did it for about a month. And I think that was like the ADHD of like hyper focusing.
It was your fixation for the time. Yeah.
Yep, exactly. And realizing that that's part of who I am now and have always been, but now I have words to it. And then I can just be like, okay, I don't want to do stuff like that. I don't want to hyperfixate on something. I want to, like, there's a time and a place for hyperfixation for sure, but I don't want to get to the point where it burns me out,
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like for instance, like I recently uninstalled Instagram off of my phone. Leanna is now posting on Instagram and I'm now posting on TikTok. And the main reason why I still have TikTok on my phone is I don't mindlessly scroll on TikTok, but I mindlessly scroll on Instagram. So my husband was like, I've been mindlessly scrolling too. Let's uninstall it together. So we did. And so yesterday, for the first time in like forever, I started building my Lego. Like I'm building the Night Before Christmas set right now. I'm only on like I think I finished bag 3 yesterday, but like, I'm really excited to like keep going and keep building it. Like when we get off here, I'm probably going to pop on a Disney movie and I'm probably going to keep building my Lego set or take a nap. Who knows?
That's really nice. I love that. I'm sitting in my dining room, as I often do for recordings, and I did a project last weekend, which took me way longer than I thought. Like I thought I would finish it during the day, like a craft day that I had at my friend's place with a bunch of other friends. And like I didn't get to even get close to finishing it. So I'm like, maybe I'll sit and do that and put on an audiobook. That'll be my day.
Literally, like I've gotten into the habit of doing that too. Like in the morning, like that's another thing when it comes to audiobooks. I will listen to it while I'm taking a walk. I'll listen to it while I'm cleaning the house. I'll listen to it while I'm eating breakfast. Like you can multitask. It's like audiobooks are perfect for people with ADHD because you can multitask. But like for me, when it comes to like the hobbies and all of that, like when you mentioned like the whole like, oh, I didn't think it would take longer than it did, but the fact that you like aren't mad about it, that's growth right there. Like for instance, this coming week, so as we record this, it's a Friday. So next week, my husband is off Tuesday and Wednesday, and our plan is to tackle a room that is eventually going to have our new roommate living in there, as well as our garage. And my husband's like, we can get it done in those 2 days. And I'm thinking in the back of my head, I don't think so, babe. But if we do, great. If we don't, I'm not stressing about it because we have this week and then we also have next week because you're not here until you're here 2 weeks from today.
I know. It's so exciting. It's
going to be so excited. It's going to be so much fun. It's going to be great.
Yay. Well, thank you.
Of course.
Any final thoughts on self-development that we can share, or did we kind of...
I was actually thinking about this like earlier before we got on, and yes, when it comes to self-development, don't overthink it. It's your journey. Do what works for you. If listening to podcasts works, I know a couple. We can put some in the show notes. The only one that comes to mind besides Mary's is a couple others that I don't listen to anymore, but if I recall the names, we'll put them there. Mm-hmm. But like, you can literally just go to YouTube and type in self-development for self-confidence or self-development 10-minute video. Like you can literally like use YouTube to find some self-development out there. And like, if it looks like something you'd be wanting to listen to, click on it, watch it. And if you're like, this isn't for me, like a few minutes in, then find something else. Because I always say that it has to meet your vibe. It has to, at least for me. So don't overthink the self-development because you are perfect the way you are. You are perfectly imperfect the way you are right now. It's just a matter of like embracing that and like not changing. I would say yes, changing, but not fixing, because you're already like, you don't need to be fixed. You're not broken.
Amen to that. I love that so much. Thank you so much, Michelle. That is so powerful and amazing. And yeah, we'll talk again soon.
Thank you for listening to this episode of All Things Mental.
Please follow us on social media at All Things Mental Podcast to let us know how this episode helped you on your healing journey.
Subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts so that you don't miss an episode.
And remember,
you are not broken.
You're just becoming a more beautiful version
of your higher self.